Caribbean island of Jamaica, or Jamaica in the New York borough of Queens. William Blue had worked in England as a sometimes labourer and a chocolatier, and was transported to Botany Bay in 1796 at age 29 aboard the Minorca for stealing sugar. All accounts paint Billy Blue, as he became known, as a spirited, canny character. He occupied a curiously respected position in white society, settling around the rocks in Sydney with his English-born ex-convict wife and their 6 children. Governor Macquarie appointed him a harbour watchman and constable. He started a ferry service, which the governor used, and he amassed land. Paintings portray Billy Blue standing proud, eccentric, in the royal blue top hat or the naval jacket of which he was fond. Black Jack Anderson is Australia's only known pirate. White accounts concur the African-American was as charismatic as he was ruthless. He arrived on the west coast of Australia in 1826, on the whaling vessel Vigilant. A brawl saw him accused of murder, and he took up residence with some of his crew in the dangerous waters of the archipelago of the Recherche, and what is known as Middle Island. Under Anderson's command, the outlaws raided ships travelling between Adelaide and Albany. Anderson's body is rumoured to be buried on Middle Island. There are tales, shameful ones, of his brutalisation of local Ghana people. There are others, too many here to count. William Cuffey, a tailor by trade, and the son of a freed St. Kitts slave, was transported from England in 1848 for his political action among the working classes. Orator and newspaper vendor Daniel Henderson, born in Kingston, Jamaica, is thought to have migrated to Australia voluntarily in 1865. These African diaspora settlers display all the flair, ferocity, faults and foibles of their Anglo-Australian counterparts. Yet, they are largely absent from the knowledge of a vast number of Australians. The seed for growing up African in Australia was born of a Twitter discussion between the editor and co-curators, noting the link between apartheid in South Africa and the genocide, dispossession and dehumanisation of First Nations people in Australia, through South Africa's modelling of apartheid on Queensland's Aboriginal Protection Act, 1897. These stories make me think it's high time we did a Growing Up African in Australia book, this editor mused. 18 months later, amid allegations of rampant African gang crime in Melbourne and the Australian media's increasing demonisation of the African-Australian community, Magan and Ahmed Yussuf contacted me and said, "Remember your suggestion? It's now time." We approached Black Ink, who had already published the groundbreaking anthologies Growing Up Asian in Australia and Growing Up Aboriginal in Australia. The publishers took us on board. Our first discussions regarding the collection were about scope. From the 16th to the 19th century, more than 10 million Africans, mostly from Central and West Africa, were dispersed across the Americas as human cargo in the transatlantic slave trade. They were sold to work on slave plantations and as domestic servants, field workers or labourers. Australia has not been untouched by this 400-year trade in black lives. Recently, the work of academic Clinton Fernandez has confirmed that the proceeds of British slavery and the financial compensation paid to slave owners on abolition helped establish significant and revered members of early colonial society in Australia. Pointedly, we decided that Growing Up African in Australia would be an African-diaspora anthology that acknowledged this colonial truth, sharing stories from Australians of African descent, no matter the route their journey to Australia had taken. We called for submissions by Australians from across the African diaspora, from those who journeyed to Australia directly from the African continent, to those who journeyed to Australia over hundreds of years and several generations via the United States, South America, the United Kingdom, the Caribbean, or elsewhere. This anthology was initiated, written, curated, edited, and driven by members of the African diaspora community in Australia. The process of